गोविंद दास अभिलाष रे गोविंद दास अभिलाष रे भजहु रे मन श्री नंद नंदन अभय चरण
भजहु रे मन श्री नंद नंदन अभय चरण
हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे
हरे
हरे कृष्णा तो हमारे श्रवण उत्सव शुरू होते चलेছে ताड़ाताड़ी আসবেন हरे कृष्णा all the devotees are requested to come as early as possible we are going to start this श्रवण उत्सव
हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम
राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Evo, Gaur Premanande.
असंख्य धन्यवाद चिदानंद प्रभु एंड
Bihari Krishna Prabhu.
बिहारी कृष्ण प्रभु एंड टीम। ये कीर्तन 4 दिन থেকে আমাদের জন্য করছে, ভজন কীর্তন। ভালো লাগছে আপনাদের? You liked this kirtan bhajan? So Bengali kirtan means very famous. This Sravan Utsav, we can hear this kirtan also. So we thank to all the kirtaniyas by one time chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra loudly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Harinam Sankirtan ki, Sravan Utsav ki. So today we are going to finish off. We are at the end of this Sravan Utsav. We welcome all of you, devotees who are hankering but stuck with some other works. তাড়াতাড়ি চলে আসবেন, আমরা এখনই শুরু করতে চলেছি। So we have now His Grace Sarvadrik Prabhu. You all know about him. Prabhupada's disciple, very enthusiastic youth preaching also he does. So we welcome him by chanting Haridhvani and Uludhvani. Hari Bol Ochena. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Those who are not from India or Bengal, they have to learn this Uludhvani. Haridhvani though very easy, but Uludhvani little difficult. So all of you has to learn. This is like auspicious. Whenever something auspiciousness goes, this Uludhvani gives auspiciousness, it is said that. So Sarvadik Prabhu will speak on Sikshashtakam prayers. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given these 8 shlokas. This is the essence of all his teachings, or by understanding this Sikshashtakam, we can come to that conclusion, or we can, the Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana, how it will be is described in that. Prabhu is very experienced, so we'll be hearing from him about this Sikshashtakam prayers. Hare Krishna. I request Prabhuji to start.
How much time? 15 minutes. 15 minutes? Okay. Haribol. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachade Shatarane Nama Shishtam Manumapi Sachiputra Matra Sarupam Rupam Tasyagrajamuruparim Matarim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Maho Radhika Madhavasam Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadandikam Vande Nantadbhutashayam Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhum Nichopi Yat Prasadat Sad Bhakti Shastra Pavartaka Nityanandamaham Nomi Sarvanandakaram Param Harinama Padam Devam Avaduta Shiromanim Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Nama Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannataya Te Namaha Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vrindaye Tulsi Devi Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Pradidevi Satyavate Namo Nama Vancha Kalpaturbhishta Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So I've been requested to speak today on Sikshashtakam, and I wanted to start out by reading a quote from Srila Prabhupada. Many of us have probably heard this. It's recorded also. But it gives us some insight into what is Sikshashtakam and its importance. Srila Prabhupada wrote, "The elaborations and expositions on the philosophy taught by Lord Chaitanya are in fact the most voluminous, exacting, and consistent due to the system of disciplic succession. Although Lord Chaitanya was widely renowned as a scholar in his youth, he left only 8 verses called Sikshastaka. These 8 verses clearly reveal his mission and precepts." Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also wrote something very important. He made a commentary, Bhashya, Sanbodhana Bhashya, commentary on Sikshastakam. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote, "Those who recite with devotion the Sikshastaka, which arose from the mouth of Gauranga, will sink in the ocean of prema for Krishna, their hearts joyful with the nectar of Gauranga's feet. Does that sound like something you want to do? Sink in the nectar, the ocean of prema for Gauranga's feet? Then recite Sikshastakam every day. But don't just recite it like a parrot. But enter deeply into the meaning of these words because they're very profound. I'm supposed to explain Sikshastakam in an hour and a half, and it's impossible. This is a month-long seminar to dive deeply into the meaning of these verses and the commentary given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and other acharyas. But we have an hour and a half, so I'll try and say something less than an hour and a half. We'll have time for, I've been requested to leave time for questions. Day before yesterday, I didn't know I was supposed to leave time for questions, so there's no questions. But we'll leave time for questions also. So this Sikshastaka is the very essence of Vedas. How is that? Because it came from the mouth of the Lord. Just like we read in Bhagavad Gita, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. What makes Srimad Bhagavad Gita profound and sacred? Because it's the very words of the Supreme Lord spoken from His own mouth. Infallible information. Most important information. So this Sikshastakam, same. Spoken by Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Supreme Personality of Godhead. We read in Bhagavatam, Veda pranahito dharma yadharmas tad viparya. Vedo narayana sakshat swayambhur iti shushrama. That what is Veda? Veda means it's the breathing. Veda has no author. It's the breathing of the Supreme Lord. So whether it's spoken or it's coming from His breathing, it has profound effect on human society if we dive into the meaning and take this instruction and apply it in our life also. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya made one beautiful verse. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Sikshartha Mega Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dhari Kripam Buddhir Yastam Aham Prapadye. He said, Lord Chaitanya came to this world to teach Vairagya and Vidya, but to teach Sikshartha Mega. So Sikshastaka means the teaching of Lord Chaitanya. Everything we can hope to learn, everything we can hope to realize is compressed within these 8 verses. Because Mahaprabhu didn't give any other verifiable information, any other text that can be verified as Him being the author. So many devotees have memorized these verses, but we should try and enter into the meaning of these verses as Srila Prabhupada would say, as a regular daily function. Because the result is described here by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that you will sink in the ocean of prema for Krishna if we understand what it is that we're reading or reciting, as the case may be. We should memorize and read these verses and recite them. It's also stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita itself, Antilila text, chapter 20, text 65, quote, if anyone recites or hears these 8 verses of instructions by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his ecstatic love and devotion for Krishna increases day by day. Just by reciting and trying to enter into the meaning, our enthusiasm and love for God will increase day by day by this simple thing. So the first verse says, Cheto darpanamarjanam bhava mahadavagni nivapanam shreya kairava chandra kavitaranam vidyavadu jivanam anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnam mitaswadanam sarvatmasnapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Srila Prabhupada's translation is, glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we're always anxious. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was first beginning at the beginning. Spiritual life means begin at the beginning. And what is the beginning? Cheto darpana marjanam. Cleanse the heart. Because what is our whole problem in material life? if we distill everything down, what is our problem? Is that we identify with this material world. We think this is our home. It can't be our home. Srila Prabhupada gave a nice example. He says a man can never forget his mother. Why? Because our body is the creation of our mother's body. We're intrinsically linked with our relationship with mother. So he said in the same way, because we're born in this material world, we feel intrinsically linked to the material world. We feel comfortable in the material world. It feels like home. It feels natural to be in Maya. When in actuality, thank you, Prabhu. When in actuality we have no connection with this material world whatsoever. We are para prakriti. We're not part of this material world. But we identify with it, and the whole essence of our problem is within this instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaito darpana, cleanse the mirror of the mind. If you're standing in front of a mirror and you want to see yourself, it's impossible if the mirror is dirty. So if you want to see who you are, most simple thing. People don't know the most simple thing. Who are you? If you ask people, who are you? They'll say, who are you to ask? You have no... Who do you think? Get out of my face. Go away. No one even considers this simple thing. Who am I? Because their consciousness is covered. So first principle of spiritual life, Chaito darpanam, bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam. It extinguishes the blazing fire of material existence, because that is the nature of this world. I'll tell you a practical story and ask for your prayers also. There's a wonderful family that visited here in Mayapur about a month ago. They spent 2 weeks in Vrindavan, we were fortunate to host them at our home. His name is Pratik Kohli and his wife and 2 beautiful children, all devotees, been accepted to be initiated by His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj. Formal initiation hadn't occurred, but they came and stayed with us for some time. We're fortunate to host them, take them on parikrama to different places, have wonderful association. It was a beautiful family. They went home, and after settling in, Pratik Prabhu went to work and collapsed at work, unconscious, brain hemorrhage. As we sit here today, he's lying in a hospital bed, clinging to life. This is the material world. Did he get married and have children thinking that I'll have a brain hemorrhage and may die? Leave my wife and children, 6 years old and 8-year-old, beautiful Krishna-conscious devotee children? Was that the plan? This is the nature of the material world. So please, in your prayers, offer some prayer to Lord Nrsingadev for his recovery, because he's clinging to life. As we sit here happily in Mayapur, eating nice food in the company of devotees, taking kirtan, association, Radha Madhava, happy life. How long can happy life last in this world? Bhava mahadavagnir nirvapanam. It's a blazing fire, but this chanting of Krishna's name extinguishes that fire of material existence. We should make this a priority, because there is no guarantee that any of us even walks out of this room. Is that right? Is there any guarantee? We think we'll walk home, maybe take a snack, eat some prasadam, maybe read Krishna book, lie down, take rest. We have our plans. There's no guarantee in this world. The Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu extinguishes this blazing fire of material existence. And Chandrika Vitaranam, this is beautiful poetry. It causes the blossoming of the beautiful white lotus of our own good fortune. This is good fortune. Good fortune doesn't mean bank balance, nice car, flat, position, respect in society, health and wealth and fame. All those things are kamala dala jala jivana talamala bhajahu haripara niti re. They're like drop of water on a lotus pad. They're meaningless. When the last breath comes, what is the meaning of your bank account? What is the meaning of your degree, your education? Can your family help you? Who is your friend when the last breath comes? Only your relationship with God. Only your punya, your sukriti. Whatever you've done in this lifetime for the cause of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is your friend. Your guru is your friend. One of my godbrothers married a non-devotee. Not recommended. Anyone wants to get married? Fantastic. But marry a devotee. He married a non-devotee and in the course of time gave up every aspect of his spiritual life. In every way. No principles, no japa, no bhagavatam, nothing. When he was about 50 years old, he contracted a deadly disease, cancer. At his deathbed, his wife was there on one side, his children were on with his wife, and his wife's parents were on the other side of the bed. His last words were, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. His parents, his wife's parents, asked their daughter, what was that all about? She said, oh, he was a Hare Krishna before we got married. Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will never forget your contribution to the Sankirtan movement. This is our wealth. This is our auspiciousness. This is the blooming white lotus of good fortune that comes to us by participating in the Sankirtan mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that is described in this verse. So, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, Vidyavadu Jivanam. It's the life of all transcendental knowledge. How can we get real knowledge? What does knowledge mean? Book knowledge, history, biology, algebra, geography, quantum mechanics, physics. This is knowledge of this world, jara vidya. It can't help you at the time of doubt. Real knowledge comes, divya gyan vide prakashito, by grace of Guru and God. Realization, experience what is God, not theoretically, but the experience. This is why this process of Krishna consciousness is described in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, Pavitramedamuttamam Pratyaksha Bhagamam Damyam Susukam Kartam Damyam. It's the perfection of religion because it gives direct perception of the self by realization. It is everlasting and joyfully performed. Pratyaksha means direct experience. Vidyavadu Jivanam, Krishna consciousness, the process of chanting the holy name is the life of our spiritual life. It gives us realization, concrete experience of what is God, a relationship with God, an experience of the personality of Godhead that comes to us by this chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Vidyavadu Jivanam. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. It's an ever-increasing ocean of spiritual happiness. Sometimes we think, oh, it's 8 o'clock at night, I still have 6 rounds to chant, I'm not feeling ananda. You will feel, but does it happen immediately? Can you snap your finger and experience ananda? This is a process. Chanting Krishna's name is a relationship and a process where we develop a relationship with the holy name. Realization of the holy name. Realizing chintam... Nama Chintamane Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Binatvam Nama Namino. That Krishna's name is Krishna. The personality of Krishna and the sound Krishna. Nam and Nami, same. Binatvam, Nama Namino. And when we realize that, the struggle to be Krishna conscious is over. The struggle that fall into Maya, not fall into, be Krishna conscious, fall in Maya, be Krishna conscious. The struggle, mental struggle that we experience is over. Because you've developed a relationship, feeling love for God that only comes with a period, within time. By, we say in English, paying your dues, investing your time, investing your life in the process of developing a relationship with Krishna through His holy name. Sravatmasna Purnamrita Swadanam. We say there's 2 types of people. Bhajanananda Sadhu, who's tasting the nectar of bhajan, tasting the nectar of chanting the holy name. And there's another type of person, Bhojanananda Swadu. whose nectar is just eating. So we use our mouth to chant Krishna's name because this gives eternal benefit. We enjoy prasadam. This is also Krishna conscious activity. But this is a means to help us conquer the nature of this material world. We have to eat something, so we eat prasadam. But Purnamrita Swadanam, full-fledged nectar comes from Krishna's holy name. Sarvatma Snapanam, it bathes you in nectar, bathes your soul in nectar. And Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said this is the motto of the Gaudiya Math. And we're also Gaudiya Math. We're also the product of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's preaching. So this is our motto. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Let there be all victory for the chanting of Krishna's holy name. This is the first verse. And the process is to hear. We have to pour nectar in our ear. And this is the means to cleanse our heart. How does Chaito Darpana Marjanam happen? Through your eye? Your mouth? No, your ear. Bhagavatam says, Pravishtakarna Randraina Swanam Bhava Sororuham Dunoti Shamalam Krishna Salilasya Yatasharat. Karna Randraina, we pour this nectar of Krishna Katha, sound vibration, Shabda Brahman, through our ear, and it cleanses our heart. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's opening verse, very important verse, about hearing Krishna's holy name. Second verse says, Nam Namakari Bahuda Nijya Sarva Shaktis Tattarbita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Etadvashi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Middishami Hajani Nanuragaha. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names, like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. But I am so unfortunate, I have no attraction for them. Sarva Shaktis means all power, all potency is in Krishna's name. All beauty, power, mercy, dham, lila, parikar, everything is within Krishna's name. Full mercy is simply within the syllables Krishna. So we chant these names, these personal names of the Lord, because the personal names of the Lord, in connection with His lila, give us prema. We don't chant Bhagwan, Parameshwar, Paramatma. These are names of the Lord who has expanded everywhere, that He's expanded. Mayatattamidam sarvam jagaravyaktamurtina. He's expanded within everywhere and within everything. Andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam. He's within the atom. Is this the Krishna that we're interested in? No. We chant the name Yashumati Nandana Brajobaro Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana. Personal names of the Lord in relationship with His devotees, because these names are imbued, they're heavy with prema. So again, when we sing these beautiful bhajans, bring your mind to Leela. Yashomati Nandan means the beloved son, the pet son of Mother Yashoda. And visualize, remember Krishna in the arms of Mother Yashoda, sucking Mother Yashoda's breast. Such intimate relationship is possible with God. This is our meditation. Varam deva moksham na moksha vadhimva na chanyam brineham vareshadapiha idam te mukam bojam atyanta nilayar vitam kuntalay. What is it? Vitam kuntalay snigdha raktaischa gopya. I think I crossed two verses, yes. Anyway, Mother Yashoda, she's experiencing so much happiness. And devotees praying, I don't want anything else. Varam deva moksham na moksha vadhimva. I don't want Vaikuntha. I don't want liberation. I want only to think of you. Manasyavyarastam kimanyai. Kimanyai means I don't want any other thing. I only want to think of you. So when we sing these bhajans, beautiful bhajans composed of the Lord's holy names in relationship with His devotees and His Leela. Bring your mind there. This is yoga. Yoga doesn't mean standing on your head and twisting your body. This is yoga. Madgyanantaratmana, Krishna says. Be with me in your mind. Fix your mind on me. This is yoga. So Sarva Shaktis. And what is our disease? Although this is Krishna, substantial Krishna. Durdaiva midishami hajani nanara. You make approach to you so easy. A child can chant Hare Krishna. Anyone can chant Hare Krishna. Sometimes when we were out on books distribution in the early days, with our shaven heads and our tilak, people would say, "You Hare Krishna people, get off the street. You Hare Krishna, you just beggar people." We go, "Excuse me, what? You Hare Krishna people should get off the street." I'm sorry, I'm hard of hearing. Can you repeat that? You Hare Krishna people. So we get people to chant Hare Krishna. Because just by touching the holy name with one's mouth, one is liberated. And there's many beautiful shlokas like that in Shastra. In the story of Ajamil, Yamadutas came to take Ajamil. The Vishnudutas appeared. No, you can't take him. And many beautiful shlokas come. Ajnana datavagyana uttama shloka nama yat sankirtinamagam pumso dehedadho yatanala. Whoever chants the holy name in knowledge, jnana or ajnana, it burns to ashes millions of lifetimes of sinful activity. Exactly as a dry field of grass is reduced to ashes by a fire. Such powerful thing. Actually, it's 3 or 4 verses. Sanketyam parihasyam va stobam helanam evava vaikuntanama grahanameshe shaga haram vidu. However you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, however your tongue touches Krishna, destroys your sinful life. First thing mentioned, Sanketyam. Sanketyam is what Ajamil did. He called out, Narayan! And the Vishnudutas came to save him after a life of sin. The Lord was always so kind to Ajamil. He inspired him, you name your son from within his heart. Acharyas have told us, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that he inspired within his heart, you name your son Narayan. So he was always chanting, Narayan, Narayan, come here. Narayan, go to bed. Narayan, get up. Narayan, take your food. He's chanting Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. So when he saw Yamadutas, he became very fearful, called for his son, Narayan. Yamadutas are ready to drag him out because he's a sinful man. Vishnuduta said no. He's spoken the name Narayan, Sanketyam. He is calling for his son. He's not calling for the Lord. He's calling for his son, but he chanted the holy name. Parihasyam means in jest. Again, when we were young devotees, back in the 70s, on the streets of Denver, Colorado, on the streets of Portland, Oregon, people, we'd hand out our mantra card. Chant and be happy. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Chant and be happy. They'd look at it, H-A-R-E, hair. Oh yeah, Hare Krishna. It's the Hare Krishnas. But they see our shaven head and they make a joke. No, it's the hairless Krishnas. Ha ha ha, hairless Krishnas, hairless Krishnas. They're making a joke, parihasyam. But their tongue is touched, Krishna. Even I saw one hippie guy. He named his dog Krishna. So it's, Krishna, come here. Krishna, sit. Krishna, roll over, Krishna. He's shouting at his dog, but his tongue is touched, Krishna. Stoba means for musical entertainment. Like George Harrison made his song, My Sweet Lord, I really want to be with you, I really want to, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. And Helanam means inattentive. So even inattentive chanting, musical entertainment, in joke, meaning something else, however you touch the holy name, destroys your sinful life. And this same section describes that this chanting of Krishna's name is the actual religious principle. Etāvat eva lokesmin pumsam dharma parasmitaha bhakti yogo bhagavati tanama gruhanadivi. This is actual religion. Simply chanting the holy name. Any other thing is not actual. We can't accept as religion. It's a business proposal. I give you, you give me. But when we take up the chanting of the Lord's holy name, this is perfect system because it invokes the Lord's presence, cleanses our heart from sin, which is a requirement to make progress. Ye shamantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandamoha nirmukta bhajanti mam vridavrataha. If you want to approach Krishna, you have to become free from sinful life. And anyone who's chanting holy name is free from sinful life. So this is actual religious process. Bhagavatam also says that many verses are there glorifying holy name. Etan nirvidyamananam ichchanam bhayam yoginam nripanirmitam harinamanu kirtanam. Anyone, a yogi, self-satisfied yogi, a sinful person, a king, anyone. Nirnitam means it's decided. There's no doubt, there's no discussion. This is the process of self-realization in the age, chanting the holy Krishna, chanting the holy name of Krishna. Kalayar doshanide rajan ego yasti mahadguna kirtanariva krishnasya mukta sangha param bhajat. 12th canto of Bhagavatam explains that this age is full of faults. Faults in relationships, faults in the food we eat, the air we breathe, the water we drink, in politics. We're surrounded by faulty things, but there's one extraordinary thing. Eko yasti mahadguna. That just by chanting Krishna's name, we can go back to Godhead. Such a simple thing. And we can hardly do that. Such a simple thing. Just chanting Krishna's name, we open the doors of Goloka by chanting Krishna's name. And it's superior to the process, different processes of religiosity that depend on time, place and circumstance. So Bhagavatam says, mantratas tantratas chiddam desha kalartha vastuta sarvam koroti nischiddam ano sankirtanam tava. In a religious ceremony, there has to be proper circumstance, place, time, paraphernalia, mantra, tantra. But there's always in this age some chidram, some faulty thing. But sarvam koroti nischidram anu sankirtanam tava. When we chant Krishna's name, when Krishna's name is vibrated, there's no consideration, it becomes perfect. So how is it possible in Kali Yuga to do perfect puja? Even it is said that when water touches steel, it becomes unfit for abhishek. Every tap in the city is coming through steel pipe. So what to do? Or you want to buy a fruit, you go to the market to buy fruit, people are looking, oh, I'll eat this one, no, I'll eat this. No, and they're pinching and touching and they want to. Where will you find something pure to worship the Lord? This is a very difficult thing. It's not the system for this age. Kriteya jayato vishnum tretayam yajako makai dvapare parichayam kalodan hari kirtana. Hari kirtan is the process in this age. Because it's so simple. And it provides the highest benefit. It gives us love of God. The result of chanting Krishna's name is Krishna prema. This is the highest achievement. So Lord is saying, Nam Namakari Bahuda. You have many, many names. But we like to chant those names that are in relationship with the Supreme Lord and His Leela. Because those names invoke love and prema within our heart. Then he says, Trinadapi Sunechena, Tororapi Sahishnuna, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. Actually, I forgot one thing. I copied one amazing quote from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I'd like to read that to you because it's just too amazing. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, my heart is just like a desert, hot with the rays of the sun. This is my internal mental condition. The desire for mortal things cannot satisfy me because by nature they are death-producing. And not one or two, but thousands of such death-producing desires have taken shelter in my mind. So my subconscious region is always burning. This is my condition. But somehow, by the grace of the sadhu and guru, the holy name of Krishna, with its infinite prospect, has entered through the holes of my ears and reached the plane of my heart. And there, with some peculiar hope, with infinite auspicious possibilities, it touched my heart with a new kind of nectar. New hope is aroused by that sound. Then by force it comes from the heart towards the tongue. Not that by the endeavor of my tongue I am producing that sound, no. What came from the heart of a saint through my ear entered my heart, and that forcibly appeared on my tongue and began to dance. That is the holy name proper. It descends from above. It cannot be produced by the material tongue. Its source is above. And through an agent of the Absolute, it comes through the ear to the heart. From the heart it gathers some sympathy, then the holy name of Krishna forcibly appears upon the tongue and begins to dance. With great force it comes to the end of the tongue, and that sweet sound begins its dancing. The real effects of the divine name have been described here. If it is a real and living name, the voice will be choked up. There will be shivering in the body, and the legs will be unable to stand. Sometimes tears will flow in a current on the body, and one's hairs will stand on end. Sometimes changes of color will be found in the body, and we will be unable to find any trace of mind or consciousness. This is the effect of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. How does it come? By the grace of sadhu and guru. And when that sound vibration from sadhu and guru enters our ear and enters our heart, then we can hope to chant pure Shuddha Nam. Otherwise it's not possible. And this is the importance of initiation. Shastra says that one can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra even without initiation and get the result. But initiation is required to hear that transcendental sound vibration from sadhu, that it enters our ear and comes to our heart, that we can actually chant Shuddha Nam. Therefore initiation is required. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, O Surup Damodar Goswami Ramananda Roy, hear from me the symptoms of how one should chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to awaken very easily one's dormant love for Krishna. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke the famous verse, Tranadapi sunechena, Tororapi sahishnana, Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So humility, to consider oneself as straw in the street. Walk on me, no problem. Humble like a tree, tolerant like a tree. The tree people take bark, they take flowers, they may cut the tree down, the tree doesn't protest. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advice. There's a beautiful story also. When Srila Prabhupada was doing his business in Allahabad, his Day's Pharmacy, that was his business, he had pharmaceutical products. So his beloved godbrother, Prabhupada had many loving godbrother friends. One godbrother was named Audbihari Kapoor, Adi Keshav Prabhu. So he came in and was joking with Prabhupada. I see so many pills, gutikas, and syrups, elixirs, bhasmas, so much medicine is here. Do you have any medicine that can give me love of God? Prabhupada said, no. But I know the formula. Tranadapi sunechena, tororapi sahishtana. Prabhupada said, this is the formula that gives us love of God. Be humble, be tolerant. Amanina manadena. Offer respect to every other person. Don't expect anything for yourself. This is the formula. His Holiness Shri Srimad Gaur Govinda Maharaj said something important. He said, I have 3 items, secret items, that will guarantee your advancement in spiritual life. 3 items. What are they? Humility, humility, humility. This will give us advancement in spiritual life, and this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's request. One time, Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture in Sweden, and they made a big vyasa, something like this, for Srila Prabhupada, which is actually fitting for his position. But one atheistic type man, and Srila Prabhupada was lecturing about different classes of human beings. First class, second class, third class. So this man challenged Prabhupada, what class are you? You're sitting on big seat, what class are you? Prabhupada said, he folded his hand and said, I am fifth class. And how did he sign his letter? Most insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. When he wrote this beautiful Markandeya Bhagavat Dharma. How did he sign it? Most insignificant beggar. Is Prabhupada beggar? He gave the most valuable thing. He changed the course of human history. Is he insignificant? Prabhupada is the most significant thing that's happened in human history for millions of years. He changed the course of human history when he jumped on when he boarded Juta and stepped on the land of the United States of America. He changed history. He's the most significant thing, but he's saying, I'm most insignificant. I'm a beggar. I'm fifth class. This is Vaishnava humility. If we don't touch that, we'll never touch Shuddhanam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving this instruction, important instruction. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, wherever there is a relationship of love of God, its natural symptom is that the devotee does not think himself a devotee. Instead, he always thinks that he does not have even a drop of love for Krishna. This is devotee. We should remember this in our dealings with each other. Then this friction that naturally arises in the material world is lessened. There's friction in the Goloka also. The gopis want Krishna to come dance. The cowherd boys want him to come play. Mother Yashoda wants to dress him and feed him and put him to sleep and wake him up. There's friction, but Krishna is the center, so everybody's blissful. But in this world, there's friction, but because it's self-centered, everyone becomes unhappy. If we practice this simple thing of humility and tolerance, not only do we make progress in spiritual life and please the Lord, but our society will be so much smoother. Smoother social interaction with each other. In the name of pushing on Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan mission. Text 4, Nadanam na janam na sundarim kavitam ba jagadisha kamai mama janmani janmanishware bhavatad bhaktir ahaituki tvaye. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. Ahaituki bhakti is the only thing that will ever make us happy. As much as we may try to be happy in the material world, the only thing that will ever touch our heart is ahaituki bhakti. Unmotivated, unalloyed, pure devotional service, Shuddha bhakti. Can wealth solve your problems? The wealth is always trouble. If you have money, then everyone wants to take it. The government wants to take it by taxes. The thief wants to steal it from you. Your family demands from you. Money is a problem. And if you don't have money, that's also a big problem. So money should be used in Krishna's service, then it's no longer a problem. If we acknowledge this is Lakshmi, and Lakshmi is always for Narayan. Don't be like Ravana, who thought Sita is for me. I will enjoy Lakshmi for my pleasure. Wealth is for Krishna. Otherwise, bhogai swaja prasaktanam taya prahatate tasam vyabhasayatmiko samado na vidiyate. We can't practice Krishna consciousness if our mind is absorbed in trying to be happy in the material world. Queen Kunti Maharani, she said, Janmai swaja shubir edamana madapuman naiva hatyavidatum vai tvama kinchana gochuram. Said, you are the property of the materially impoverished person who has no other asset in his life but you, Lord Krishna. Someone who thinks, I'm got good birth, janma, aisvarja, material opulence, shruti, learning, shribir, bodily beauty. What does she say? Mada, you become intoxicated by that and you'll never become Krishna conscious. So we should take note that whatever asset comes to us should be offered back to the Lord. If a person becomes learned, teach something about Krishna. If you have money, build a temple, distribute a book, feed people, do something for Krishna. If you have good birth, all of you have good birth, born in India. So fortunate. I was born in Bangladesh, in the family of cow eaters. Such unfortunate birth. So if you have good birth, use your good birth. Use your wealth. Use your learning. Use everything for Krishna. And that will make you happy. This is called pure devotional service. Ahaituki, apritiyata yayatma suprasidati. How to be happy? Suprasidati, completely happy, completely satisfied, fulfilled, no longer hankering and lamenting. Do everything for Krishna. Yat karoshi, yadashtasi, yashtahosi, dadasi, yat tapasasi kontaya, yat kurushva, madarpanam. 5th verse. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitamam vishame bhavam buddho. Kripaya tava pada pankaja stita duli saddisham vichintaya. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other, I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. So how is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describing this world? Vishame bhavambuddho. Bhavambudhi. It's an ocean of repeated birth and death. Sometimes born as a Brahmin, sometimes born as a Shudra, sometimes as a demigod, sometimes as a worm, sometimes as a bird, a beast, an amphibian. This is called samsara. And what are we getting in? What is the result of such material life? Simply death. Why do we suffer in this world? Why is there death? Why is there birth, old age, disease, war, pestilence, unhappiness, suicide, murder? Why are all these horrible things existing in the world? Because we've been born here. It's not a happy place. Vishame, it's poisonous. It's a place of birth and death. But we're trying to be happy here. Are we not insane? Trying to be happy in a place where it's impossible to be materially happy? Miche Mayar Boshe Jatcha Beshe Kacha Habudububai. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, sometimes you're riding the crest of happiness. Life is good, I've got money, people respect me, I've got a good job, bank balance, family life is good. Next moment, disaster. That is the material world. Another story. A close friend of mine went with his wife. They flew out to Los Angeles, California to observe his wife's father's birthday. So the family is sitting at the table. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. Cake, ice cream, balloons, happy family time. His wife fell out of the chair dead. From extreme happiness, family time, to extreme grief in a fraction of a second. Vishame bhavambuddho. That is the material world. Don't forget. Why should we try to be happy in this world of birth and death? Is it possible? If there's any happiness, it only exists in Krishna Bhakti. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is crying in pain. He's crying. Please pick me up, and we should feel the same way. I'm tired of being born and dying. I'm tired of material life. Please pick me up and place me as an atom of dust at your lotus feet. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spirit. Because birth in this material world is the most inauspicious event, most inauspicious situation for the Jivatma. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is singing, Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole, Kota Nidra Jao Maya Pisha Chira Kole. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? How long will we sleep? How long will we sleep forgetful of our relationship with Krishna? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is begging the Lord, please pick me up from this world to teach us how we should feel. Siksharta is giving his instruction to all of humanity. How to be picked up from this world. Beg the Lord. Because we're beggars, actually. We're begging mercy from the Lord. And we're begging, please, you don't have to. We've been in this material world, blaspheming the Lord's competitor, enjoying the property of the Lord, forgetting the Lord, denying the Lord, for how many lifetimes? So is it our right to demand anything from Him? Please pick me up. We're begging, please pick me up. Even though I have no right to ask anything from you, I'm begging this. Pick me up from this bhavambuddho, this ocean of repeated birth and death. One beautiful prayer was spoken by Srila, I can't remember who it was. Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, I believe, spoke this prayer. He said, Sansara dukkha jalado patitasya kama krodari nakramakaraya kavali kritasya Dravasana nidagitasya nirashrayasa chaitanya chanda mama dehi paravalambam. He says, I've fallen into this horrible world. Sansara dukh, a place where we become unhappy. And I'm being eaten one mouthful at a time by the crocodiles and sharks of lust, anger, and greed. Lust, anger, and greed are like sharks and crocodiles, and they're devouring me one mouthful at a time. I'm suffering. I find no shelter in this world except at your lotus feet. So we should recite these prayers of our acharyas and understand what is our position and take shelter as they have taken shelter, as they're teaching us, as Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was also teaching us. Text 6. Nayanam galada shudaraya badanam gadgadarudaya gira pulakar nichitam bapukada tava nama grahane bhavishyati. No, excuse me. Yes, tava nama grahane bhavishyati. Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your holy name? The previous verse says, natural humility and eagerness then awoke in Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He prayed to Krishna to be able to chant the Maha Mantra in ecstatic love. Text 37, without love of Godhead, my life is useless. Therefore I pray that you accept me as your servant and give me the salary of ecstatic love of God. So he's saying, bhavishyati. Is it that when we first pick up Japamala and start chanting, the tears come, the hairs stand on end, the voice chokes up? Is that the immediate result of chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? Maybe for some great soul who's done devotional activities in his last life. But mostly, we're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Krishna. Even we're chanting Krishna's name, we're falling asleep sometimes. Guilty? Also guilty. Also guilty? Yes. Hairs aren't standing on end, voice isn't choking up. But bhavishyati means in the future, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When will that day come? This is our prayer. When will that day come when love of God manifests in my heart? Gauranga bolite habe pulaka sharir. Anṛtam Das Thakur prayed. When will the hairs of my body, when will Nayana Bhabi near, when will tears of love stream from my eyes at the recitation of Gauranga, chanting holy name? Hey Radhe Brajadeviki Chalalite Hey Nanda Shuno Kuta. Srinivasacharya said about 6 Goswamis. Shri Govardhana Kalpapada Patale Govind. He's saying, where is Krishna? Where is Srimati Radharani? Are they in the bank of Jamuna? Are they in Govardhan Hill? Where are they? He's not saying, yeah, I saw Krishna and Radharani last night. This is Sahajiya. One of my godbrothers stayed with some devotees in Hawaii. And the lady was very proudly saying, I chant 64 rounds every day. Yup, 1 lakh. And when I go shopping for Krishna, Radharani tells me to buy, tells him what to buy. Radharani says, to buy strawberry yogurt for Krishna. Is it? So she goes down to the beach to chant her japa, or chant her 64 rounds, 1 lakh of nam, and she comes back 45 minutes later, got him done. Is it possible? You can't move the beads that fast. This is all taking everything cheaply. This is not a cheap process. Krishna can talk to you. Srimati Radharani can talk to you. He's in your heart. They're in your heart. They can speak to you if you become qualified. But what is the qualification? To hanker for them. Where is Krishna? Where is Radha Krishna? Why are they not manifest? Why am I so fallen? I'm so unfortunate that I don't have this love of God in my heart. Why is it not manifest yet? We should feel unhappy in this way. When Prabhupada came, he said, just chant and be happy. Right? Chant and be happy. There's another realm of Krishna consciousness. Chant and cry. Chant and cry for Krishna. Because those tears are the price for Krishna prema. This is the price for Krishna prema. When will I get Krishna? Bhavishyati. When will that day come? That my hairs stand on end. When will that day come when my voice chokes up and tears stream from my eyes? Bhavishyati. And the price to get that is to cry for Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy, but chant Hare Krishna and cry for Krishna also, because that is the price. Text 7. Yugaitam nameshena chakshusha prabhishayatam shanyayatam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me. O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain. And I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. We have to understand this first verses are all about sadhana. Sambandha Gyan, Abhideya. These last verses are prayojana. What is our objective in life? How to understand Radha Krishna. How to understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If we don't understand Srimati Radharani, we can't understand the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is it that's causing him that tears to stream from his eyes? What is causing him to dance in Rath Yatra, jumping high in the air and come crashing down? What is causing blood to pour from his pores? They locked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Gambhira. They closed the 3 doors, 1, 2, 3, closed the doors, because he was madly rubbing his face on the wall, injuring his face, blood is coming from his face. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So they thought, we'll lock the doors. They came the next morning, Mahaprabhu was gone. Where did he go? They found him in Goshala. His arm is shrunken in, his legs shrunken in, and foaming at the mouth. Govinda virahena me. Because this is the mood, this is ecstasy of Srimati Radharani. Who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Radha Krishna pranaya vrikriti ladini shakti rasmat ekatmanavapi bhuvi pura deha bedam gatoto chaitanyakram prakadamadhanam tadyayam chaikyamaptam Radha Baba Suvalitam Nomi Krishna. Radha Baba Duti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Sarupa. He's Krishna Sarup. He's directly Krishna. He's not avatar of Krishna. He's Swayam Rup Bhagavan, Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, come to understand what is the expression of love of Srimati Radharani. Because can sugar taste itself? Can a bowl of sugar taste sweetness? There has to be a taster. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although Radha Krishna Praniya Vikriti Ladini Shakti Ekatma Navapi, Radha Krishna, same. Supreme Personality of God, irreducible understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're eternally separate, but they become one in the personality of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why? To understand what is for Lord Krishna to taste. What is this? Shri Radhaya Mahima Kiddushovana Yaiva Swadyo Yenadbhuta Madhurima Kiddushovana Yaiva. To understand what is the Pranaya Mahima, the glory of Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna. What is the glory of her mood? The Adbhuta Manima, Krishna's wonderful sweet qualities that she alone relishes. And Mad Anubhavat, her happiness when she realizes the sweetness of that love. And Bhavadya, richly endowed with that emotion, Chaitanya appears in this world. Satyagarva Sindhu Hindu Harindu. As the moon appears from the ocean. Moon doesn't come from the ocean. Moon has nothing to do with the ocean, but it appears to rise from the ocean. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared from the womb of Sachi Mata as the moon appears from the ocean to taste his own sweetness, to understand what is it about me that drives Srimati Radharani wild. What is her experience? What is the sweetness of her love? What is the sweetness of my love? What is her experience of me? This is the internal, esoteric understanding of the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Exoteric means Nam Sankirtan mission, the Sankirtan mission. Pritiveteyacha Jatanagaradygram, his manobishtam, to spread the holy name in every town and village. But for his own purpose, he came to taste this. And if we understand that about Srimati Radharani and Krishna, we can have a glimpse of what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstasy, what is causing, what is driving his ecstasy, what is causing him to chatter, jag, 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 jag. He can't speak even. When he sees Jagannath, he falls flat on the ground. At Alahanath, his body caused the stone to melt. This is the inconceivable ecstasy of Srimati Radharani, manifest in the personality of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who says, in feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like a millennium. Lord Chaitanya said, the three worlds have become void because of separation from Govinda. I feel as if I were burning alive in a slow fire. Lord Krishna has become indifferent to me just to test my love. And my friends say, better to disregard him. So we can ask ourselves also, do we feel separation from Govinda? Govinda virahena me? Do we feel separation from Krishna? If you lose money in a business deal, or you had a big wad of cash in your pocket and you go to look for it and it's gone, then you feel separation. If you misplace your mobile phone, oh, where's my mobile phone? Someone stole my mobile phone. Mobile phone virahena me, money virahena me, sense gratification virahena me. But do we feel Govinda virahena me? We can judge our progress in spiritual life in this way. Do we feel separation from Krishna? Or are we happy in material life? Text 8. Aslisha padaratam pinashtamam adarshanam marmahatam karotava yathā tava vididatu lampato mat prananatastu sa eva naparaha. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he was always my worshipable Lord unconditionally. Text 52. I do not mind my personal distress. I only wish for the happiness of Krishna, for his happiness is the goal of my life. However, if he feels great happiness in giving me distress, that distress is the best of my happiness. So we should understand who is Srimati Radharani. Shakti, Shakti Matora Beda. What is the difference between sun and sunlight? Where Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita gives the example of musk and its scent. The scent of musk is inseparable from musk. Sunlight is inseparable from the sun. It's the same. What is the meaning to the sun without sunlight? What is the meaning to sunlight without the sun? So what is the meaning to Krishna Without Srimati Radharani, what is the meaning to Srimati Radharani? Without Krishna. They're inseparable. They're same tattva. Shakti and Shakti Matur. Abheda. Abheda means same. And this emotional response is her vipralamba bhav. Someone may say, why is Krishna treating devotees like this? Mother Yashoda went blind crying for Krishna. The cowherd boys were dying, lying on the ground, not moving. The cows weren't leaving the cow pen. Mother Yashoda wasn't cooking. The whole of Vrindavan was cast into despair. Govinda Virdahename. Why is Krishna treating devotees like this? Why did Mother Yashoda experience that? Devaki, the Pandavas. Why? To increase their feeling for Krishna. Because externally they're feeling very unhappy. Internally they're diving and surfacing in an ocean of Krishna prema. Because in separation from Krishna, in vipralamba, they're closer to Krishna than they are in sambhog. For example, in Ramayana, Rama is running through the forest. Sita! 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 Where is Sita? Is Rama ever separated from Sita? Is it possible Lakshmi is ever separated from Narayan? Impossible. But in Leela, to taste the most intense feeling of love, then vipralamba, separation. So this is very high topic. I'm not very qualified to speak about it, but it's on the table. So I brought it up as far as possible. Try and understand this. And what is the process to understand? We beg mercy. What is our highest prayojana, our highest objective in Krishna Bhakti? Radhe Vrindavanadishe karunamrita vahini kripaya nijapadabja dasyam majam pradiyatam. Radha dasyam. Highest objective. But is it such an easy thing? You just walk around going Radhe Radhe and put a Radha Kuntilak? Is it so easy? There's a process. Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur said, yathā gora padara vinde vandenta bhaktim krita punya rasi tata tatut sarvati vidyakasmat radha padam bhoja sudambu rasi. If you want to taste the nectar of the service to the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, if you want to be engaged by her mercy in Krishna's service, there's a process. Serving Gora. Serve the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the method to get the mercy of Srimati Radharani. Because she comes combined with Chaitanya, with Lord Krishna as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to exhibit to the world what is vipralambha bhav. And this is the highest prayojana. The Shikshastakam starts out, Sambandha, cleanse your heart, be humble, chant the holy name, Abhideya, there's a process, but the prayojana, the highest prayojana is this, to feel separation from Krishna, to experience love of God. So this Sikshastakam has come full circle, from Cheto Darpana Marjanam back to Marmahatam. What is the effect? If your heart becomes really cleansed, then Marmahatam, you'll be broken-hearted, feeling for Krishna, separation from Krishna. And that separation will do what? That separation will deliver you from this material world. Tyaktva deham punarjama naiti mameti sarjana. And you will go back to Godhead and be eternally united with Krishna in the kingdom of God. But we should learn to feel separation first. So please excuse any mistake I may have made. This is very high topic, more over my head. I did my best, tried to repeat the words of my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. And I hope you excuse any mistake I made. And if you have any question, I can attempt to answer. We have 10 minutes left for questions. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhuji, you told me Gaur Gobind Swami Maharaj gave 3 points. One is humility, and other 2 are, what are other 2 things?
Humility.
First is humility.
Second is humility. Third is humility. It's Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. First point, humility. Second point, humility. Third point, humility. Amanina manadena. You want to chant Krishna's name purely? This is the price, humility. Prabhupada's formula for Krishna prema. Humility. It's respect everyone, don't expect anything in return. If someone mistreats you, even, there are many stories like this. Even, who was it? I'm forgetting now. You're trying to understand who is the most tolerant devata. Not Durvasa. Bhrigumuni. And he challenged Lord Shiva, he challenged Lord Brahma. They became furious. But when he kicked Lord Vishnu in the chest, Lord Vishnu said, "Oh, my dear sage, my dear sadhu, I hope that my hard chest has not injured your soft lotus foot." Tolerance. Should tolerate everything. Should tolerate any personal insult and consider everyone else our superior and make progress in spiritual life. Humility, humility, humility. Three things. Three secrets to making progress in spiritual life. It's okay?
У меня два вопроса, если Прабху может. Первый вопрос. 4 стих Шикшаштаки, он говорит о том, что из жизни в жизнь, то есть это получается рождение из рождения.
The 4th verse of Shikshashtakam talks about life after life.
5-й текст говорит о том, что вытащи меня из этого океана рождения и смерти.
The 5th verse talks about, please take me out from this ocean of birth and death.
Как вот понять?
How to properly understand this?
Devotee should feel, I'm prepared to take birth. In other words, he's saying, I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, I don't even want liberation. I'm prepared to take birth after birth after birth. He's feeling in that way. Am I understanding your question properly?
Ну, то есть в одном стихе он говорит, что я не нуждаюсь, что я готов рождаться, а в другом стихе он просит Господа, чтобы я перестал рождаться.
Basically, in one verse he is saying that he is ready to take birth again,
Yes.
but in another verse he is saying that he doesn't want to.
We should feel both things. Who wants to take birth again? But he's a devotee saying, I'm ready. In other words, I'm ready to do anything you would like me to do. If you want me to take birth, I'm ready to take birth. If you want to take me back, I'm ready to go back. In that way, there's no contradiction. That whatever this is, the mood of a devotee has no personal interest, has no personal agenda. His only agenda is to please the Lord.
И второй вопрос я хотел спросить. Вот вы говорили о том, что считать, что в материальном мире есть счастье, это глупость. Вот, но весь материальный мир, он проповедует о том, что будьте счастливы. Вот.
Another question is, just like you mentioned in your class, that to consider that there is some happiness in material world, it's quite stupid. But then the whole world is preaching that there is a happiness here.
И даже в нашем движении очень много людей приходят через эту проповедь.
And even in our movement, many people come through such preaching.
И когда мы говорим о том, что счастья нет в материальном мире, они начинают возмущаться.
And then when we say that there is no happiness in material world, they start to protest.
Что, как вести себя проповеднику? То есть в каком состоянии он должен находиться?
How should a preacher conduct himself, therefore?
Yes, intelligent question, thank you. So we should say, we should qualify that and say there's no material happiness. Spiritual happiness is there, but material happiness is a myth. Because it comes and it goes. Adyantavanta konteya nateshu ramate buddha. It has its beginning and its end. Let's say, for example, you want to eat pizza. And you start thinking, yeah, big greasy pizza with lots of cheese, extra veggies, and your mouth is watering, and you eat pizza. And the first piece, you've gone to heaven. Oh, I'm in Swarga. You're doing abhishekam for your tongue. And I'll have another. You eat another piece. And it's not quite as good as the first piece, but it's still delicious. You have a third, maybe a fourth. Then when you can't eat anymore, what is the meaning to the happiness you derive from eating pizza? It's gone. Every material experience, every material sensual experience, yehi sansparsaja bhoga dukkha yoneya evate ajantavanta konte annateshu ramate buddha. Every material experience has its beginning and its end. So it leads to frustration. We want unlimited happiness, unending happiness. And because we can't, material sense gratification leads to distress. So material happiness is there, but it's temporary. One great devotee likened it to a drop of water in the desert. A drop of water is there, but what good will it do in the desert? So, sansparsh bhog, material happiness, bringing your senses in contact with the objects, is happiness in a way, but it leads to unhappiness. So, we should be, we can also, like if you're going fishing, you put some bait on a hook to catch the fish. So come sing, dance, chant, nice food, nice people, bliss, Jai Nectar Bliss, Hari Bol, it's a festival. But it's a hook. Try and understand. Try to understand what is your condition in this material world. It's a place of unhappiness. Because you can't hold on to it forever. You have to die. What is the meaning to happiness? What is the meaning to health and happiness and prosperity in a world where you can't stay? It's like in prison. I used to do prison preaching. A prisoner thinks he's got it made if he has a little TV or a radio. Like if his bed is, the foam in his bed is a little thicker, he's more comfortable. He gets an extra portion of food. He doesn't have the brains to think, I'm still in prison. What is the meaning to that happiness if he's still in prison? So what is the meaning to sensual happiness if we're still in the prison of material world? It's not real happiness. It's not positive happiness. It's relative happiness. Happiness in relation to our senses. Krishna calls it sansparsh bhoga, and what is the result of sansparsh bhoga? Dukkha yoneya evate. It's the source. It's where our unhappiness is born. Where does unhappiness come from? Sansparsh bhog. Sense gratification. Sense gratification leads to unhappiness. It's the law of material nature. You can't change it. It's how the world works. So we invite people come, taste real happiness in relation with Krishna. Because we're meant for that. Mavayavamso jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Manashastendriyani prakriti stani karsh. Give up this struggle, karshati, for material happiness. We're meant to serve Krishna. We're part and parcel of Krishna. Serve Krishna, be happy. Water the root, all the flowers, fruits, leaves, branches are all watered. Our happiness proposal is watered by serving the root, Lord Krishna. There's no other solution. It's how things work. I didn't make it, you didn't make it, but that's the nature of this material world. I hope that satisfies your intelligent question, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Any Matajis have a question? We should give them. We'll try and be respectful to all different members. Okay, gents, Prabhus.
В третьем стихе Шикшаштаки говорится о том, что мы должны стать терпеливее дерева, которое рубят, и оно не возражает. Правильно будет сказать, что когда дерево рубят, то есть рубят наше ложное эго, то мы должны терпеть, и не только терпеть, но еще и благодарить того, кто это делает.
Like in the third verse of Shikshashtakam, it is mentioned that we should be more tolerant than a tree, and basically when the tree is being cut down, it still tolerates. Does it mean that in our personal life, this example of tolerating, we should take it that when somebody is basically cutting our false ego, not only we should tolerate, but also be grateful?
Yes, you should tolerate cutting a false ego. It's mercy. It's mercy to have our false ego cut down. Definitely mercy. But if someone's cutting your body, don't stand there and let them cut your body.
Prabhuji, what a nice allegory you have used, that sugar cannot use
Taste itself.
taste itself. Someone has to be there to taste it. So my question is that mean that without Radharani, Krishna is incomplete?
Yes, Krishna is incomplete without Radharani. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says we don't want to worship that Krishna without Radharani. We chant Hare Krishna, Sita Ram, Lakshmi Narayan. Lord it's a deep philosophical discussion, but briefly, Radharani is as good as Krishna. Radha Krishna Praniya Vikriti Ladini Shakti Rasa Ekatmanavapi. Ekatmanavapi means they're equal. Radharani is God, but she's God, but in the sense of she's not original personality. But original becomes a conundrum because original means there must be an origin. Radha and Krishna have no origin. But Radharani is Lord's. I can only repeat what Shastra says. Ekatmanavapi Guvu Deha Bedam Gototo. Radharani is Supreme Personality, equal to Krishna, but Shakti and Shakti Mator Abeda. Shakti and Shaktiman. Radharani is Shakti, original Shakti. All the Devis come from Srimati Radharani. Gayatri, Savitri, Lakshmi, Sita, Durga, all expansions of Srimati Radharani. As Krishna is original male personality, Srimati Radharani is original female personality, original Devi, original Shakti, and Krishna is Shaktiman. But how can we separate Shakti and Shaktiman? How can we separate musk from its scent? How can we separate sweetness from sugar? How can you separate sunlight from the sun? There's no meaning to the sun without sunlight. So this is Radha Krishna. Very deep philosophical understanding. Is that helpful to you? Okay, thank you for your nice question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much for a very nice class. At the beginning of your class you were mentioning about how we are unhappy because we're in the material world. But there's some jivas which are nitya baddhas, which are always maybe in the material world. How do we know we're not nitya baddhas, Prabhuji?
Prabhupada's liberating millions of nitya baddhas and bringing them back to Godhead. But even a pig feels happy. Even Lord Indra was cursed to take the body of a pig, and Lord Brahma had to kill him to bring him back to his post in Indraloka. Indra asana is vacant. So Lord, try and understand the difference. The opulence of Indraloka is even inconceivable to us. And Lord Indra was wallowing in filth, in stool and garbage and filth, thinking, I'm very happy. I have my she-hog, I have my baby hogs, my family, my food, everything's there. He wouldn't give it up. He was attached. So by mercy of devotee, Lord Indra was reinstated in his position on Indra asana in Indraloka. But Nitya Baddha can also be liberated. And that is Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. Papi tapi jata chilo hariname udharilo tara ar sakshi jagamaidai. They're liberating most fallen, conditioned souls, sinful souls. And what is the evidence? Sakshi, Jagai Madhai, who delivered by the mercy. Paramakonona pahudijjana nitai gaurachanda Saba avatar sar shiramani kevala ananda kanda. The topmost merciful personalities, because they're liberating everyone. Dako ori bhai tribhuvane nai. You search the whole 3 worlds, planetary systems. Emana doya data. They're giving most things. The birds and beasts cry. Stone melts, hearing the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu. So even Nitya Baddhas become Nitya Muktas on the mercy of Chaitanya and Nityananda.
Any other questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful lecture which you have given today. Prabhu, my question is, like everything seems to be very good when we are in Krishna consciousness, but all of a sudden maybe something bad, or the other thing, like if something bad happens to us or in our life, some bad situation comes up, then why does it happen, like we feel the envious vibes, maybe we feel that this happened due to that, this happened due to that. Why do we start blaming others, and why do we lose that Krishna consciousness at that time, and we think, this has happened maybe due to someone has, maybe like I have done, or maybe I visited someone, or someone came to my home like that day. So why does it happen like that, even if we are in Krishna consciousness?
There's not necessarily a relationship between cause and effect. This is called non sequitur. It's like saying, it's raining in Calcutta, so I got in a car accident in Mayapur. Is there a relationship? There's not. And we may think there is. What did I do to deserve this? What did we do? What did you do? What did I do? What did we all do? We came to the material world, and in due course of time, everyone gets their chance, gets their time to suffer. This is the nature of the world. Everyone gets their turn. Between birth and death, old age, disease, many disasters, this is life. It's what we call life. We shouldn't be surprised. We should be surprised if something doesn't happen. Isn't it? So don't blame Krishna, don't blame other people. Everyone wants to blame Krishna. Why has God done this to me? If some disaster comes, you lose a child, God forbid, crash of business, lose a husband, lose a wife. Why is God doing this to me? Is it His fault? No. If you break the law, let's say you rob a bank, and the police arrest you, and they take you in front of the judge, and the judge says, we found you guilty of robbing the bank, you're going to prison for 15 years. Is it the judge's fault? You broke the law, and you're going to jail. So in this world, we have our karma. We've created our karma. Tatenu kampam susamikṣamanu bunjana evatna kritam vipakam. Evatna kritam means we've done it. We've created the situation. Don't blame someone else. Don't blame Krishna. We should accept, okay, I came here. I thought I was going to be happy, and now I'm suffering. Don't blame Krishna. It's not His fault you're here. It's our fault. Does that answer your question? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So it is said, ignorance is bliss. So when we realize more and more we are in this condition, in this material existence, full of birth and death, how to find the bliss when we know we are the spirit soul. And because I have relatives, I try to preach to them that we are happy, I have a good family, I married, they say that I'm happy, I don't know how to. And me, sometimes I feel when I come to Krishna consciousness, why is the suffering doubled? So how to find the bliss, when we realize more this material existence?
I used to do volunteer work in a hospital. And sometimes you come into a person's room and they have a tube coming out of every hole in their body, practically speaking. But if you ask them, how are you? I'm okay. I'm okay, I'm good. This is our condition. At any moment, disaster can strike. Like our godbrother, Pratik Prabhu. Our godbrother's wife, practically speaking, she died in front of his eyes. This is the material world. Have no doubt, have no confusion about the nature of this place that we've come to. We've come here to enjoy, and we wonder, why am I not enjoying? The only ignorant person thinks, well, they say it's just life. Isn't it? It's just saying, well, that's life. That's life. They say it's life because they have nothing to compare it to. Ignorance is bliss because they have no point of reference. We have a point of reference. Chintamani prakarasatmasu kalpavriksha lakshabriteshu surabhir abhirpalayantam Lakshmi sahasra satasam brahmasibhyamanam govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. We have a point of reference, Goloka, where every step is a dance, every word is a song, and the kalpavrikshas are supplying all the necessities. The dirt is Chintamani, spiritual gem, wish-fulfilling gem. Kalpavriksha tree, giving whatever you like to have. You want mangoes? He gives you mango as much as you want. You want pizza? As much pizza as you want. And no blood pressure problem, no cholesterol problem. Just eat, enjoy. Eternally. That is difficult for us to understand because everything in our experience is temporary. Isn't it? Like I'm wearing this nice chadar. One nice devotee gave me this chadar. I like this chadar. But one day, I'm going to throw it in the trash because it's going to get a hole in it. Maybe I'll burn a hole. Or maybe someone will take it. Or I'll lose it. I can't hold on to it even though I like it. It keeps me nice and warm. Even though I like it, I can't hold on to it. I can't hold on to my own body. So ignorance is bliss for a fool. Because he's not able to understand his own condition in the world. That you can't stay here and disaster is waiting us at every moment. It must come. Some unhappy thing must come to us exactly as some happy thing comes. Therefore Bhagavatam says, Tasyaiva heto prayateta kovido nalabhyate yad brahmatam uparyada talabhyate dukkha vadanyata sukam kalena sarvatra garbira rangasa. Then one should try and find that place, that situation, beyond this material world. And as far as material happiness is concerned, and it's not wandering from topmost one patolok to satyalok, it's not available. Try and find that happiness that's beyond this material world. And as far as material happiness is concerned, Bhagavatam says that comes automatically, just as in due course of time we get distress. Nobody goes to the masjid, the mandir, the gurudwara, the church, the synagogue, and prays to God, please Lord, give me trouble. I beg you, please today let my house burn down. Make my business fail. Let my loved one die. Please give me some incurable disease. Please, Lord, give me this trouble. Nobody prays like this, is it? Nobody prays for trouble. But doesn't trouble come? Yes, it must. Happiness comes in exactly the same way without asking for it. But people in ignorance think, I'm creating happiness in my life by hard work. Srila Prabhupada would say, you can't get more in life and you can't get less. If we have faith in that, how happy we'd be. Stress-free. You go about your life as you're obliged, your karyam karma karoti ja. Sasansayasi yogicha naniragnira chakra. This is sannyas. You do your karyam karma as you're obliged to work, you work. But the result of your work is not up to you. You can't get more and you can't get less. So be happy. Live your life as you're meant to live your life. Remembering, because our real asset in life is our Krishna consciousness. Our only, not real, it's our only asset actually. Everything else you can't hold on to. We think, I've got money. But what is money? We think we like to collect these pieces of paper, especially the pink ones. I've got money. And money will make me happy. How can a piece of paper make you happy? What is money? Money represents the potential for sense gratification. And people think, sense gratification will make me happy. And for that, they work like dogs. Like they foam at the mouth, practically speaking, working for pieces of paper to put food in their mouths. It's the most unhappy thing. Devotee's heart bleeds to see it. Naivo dujay paraduratya revaitaranyas tadirya gayana mahammata magna chet. So chetato vimukha chetasa indiyarta maya sukaya baramudvahato vimuna. Maya suk. They're struggling hard. Baramudvahato. Carrying heavy burden of life for Maya Suk. It's like I have the great opportunity to associate with wonderful Delhi devotees, Delhi NCR. So many wonderful devotees are there. So going to programs, you get stuck in traffic. You're driving in a car that can go 160 kilometers an hour. But everyone's driving 5 kilometers an hour. This is Maya Suk. You spend so much money to get a nice car, then you can't even drive it properly because there's too many cars on the road. Everybody wants one. What is the meaning to having a car that can drive so fast? This is Maya. So people work hard. Sita atava bhattavarishana edina jamani jagire. Vipala sevinu kamala dala vipala sevinu kripana durajana chapala sukala balagire. They work hard, struggle hard to get pieces of paper that they can spend for sense gratification. And then they wonder, I enjoyed, but now I'm not happy. I've got a beautiful home, beautiful family, car, money, prosperity, position, but I'm still not happy. Why? Because there's no Krishna. Could not be happy without Krishna. Because we're made that way. Our constitutional nature is to please the Lord. And if we don't, how can we be happy? Impossible proposition. Because what is this world? Hey dana jovana putra parijana ite keyachi paratite re kamala dala jala jivana chalamala bhajahu haripara niti re. Your wealth, your family, your opulence, all these things have come through your hands. You can't hold on to it. It's like water on a lotus leaf. The slightest wind goes back into the pond. So what is the meaning to wealth? Wealth, what is the nature of money? Money means it must be someone else's in due course of time. That's what money is. We think we own it, but we have to give it to someone else. This is the meaning of money. But this cheating goes on. People work hard and they get pieces of... You've labored hard, and for your hard labor, here, have some paper. And what do people do? They take the paper and they buy food. Why not grow food? Why not grow food? Grow your own food. Produce the necessities of life. Bhagavatam says, Sarva kama dugamahi. All the necessities of life come from the earth. I'll sit here as long as you tell me. That's so sweet. So all man's necessity, we can say, this is a cotton dhoti. What am I wearing? I'm wearing earth. Cotton comes from the earth, not from a factory. With all our technology, mobile phone, television, flat screen TV, satellite, with all our advanced technology, can we create 1 grain of rice or 1 drop of milk? Impossible. We're dependent living beings. Nityo nityanam chaitanas chaitananam eko bahunam jo vidadati kaman. We're dependent on that one Supreme Personality of Godhead for the fulfillment of all our necessities of life. So technology is not the answer. Industry is not the answer. The answer is becoming dependent on the prosperity of God. My wife and I were fortunate to live at Prabhupada Village in North Carolina for 10 years. We had a big garden. And you can't imagine the production, how much food comes from dirt. More than you can use. We're growing and giving away, growing and giving away. You take a potato and you cut it in pieces with an eye, you plant it in the ground in March, and in July, the plant is gone, but you dig in beautiful potatoes, like treasure coming from the ground, from dirt, food. From dirt, clothes we wear. From dirt, water we drink. We're dependent on the earth, not on technology. But people labor hard for sense gratification, and it's the most unhappy thing. It pollutes the air, it pollutes their body, it pollutes your mind, pollutes the air, the water you drink and the food you eat. They say microplastic is present everywhere. We've created this disaster with technology. And we call it progress. Is it progress? See, a dead body is also progressing. It's becoming more and more rotten, more and more repulsive, more and more disgusting. So yes, we're progressing. Progressing to what? Progressing to hell by our technology. Because we're becoming more and more, we think, independent from God. We're always dependent. So be dependent on Krishna. Make your life fruitful. Make your life valuable. Because this is the purpose of life. Kaumaramaccharat pragyo dharma bhagavataniha durlabam marusam janma tadapyu dhruvam artadam. This body is called artadam. It gives us the actual value of life. Even though it's temporary, it gives us real value in life. Human form of life. In this lifetime, in one lifetime. Yad gatvan nivartante tad dhamma paramam mama. We can go back to Godhead and never come back. That's value. That's arta. Not pieces of paper and technology. We use them. Devotees have also invaded the world of technology, thankfully. The internet is full of all kinds of obnoxious things. Maya. So pull out a thorn with a thorn. If you step on a thorn and you can't get it out of your foot, you take another thorn and you dig it out. So devotees have invaded YouTube. Hundreds of thousands of YouTube classes, YouTube clips about kirtan and deities and temples and lectures, yatras. Same thing. Twitter, all these different, YouTube, Facebook, full of devotees. So use everything for Krishna and make your life successful. Otherwise, what is the meaning? What is the meaning to life? Without Krishna, it's a zero, big zero. And you may have many supposed assets, but 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 equals 0. So our only real asset in life is our progress in spiritual life, our progress in bhakti. So I don't even remember the original question. I started talking. Any other question? Yes, Prabhu. Is there a microphone for him?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for your nice realization.
You can thank Prabhupada.
Yes.
I was a street dog before I walked into an ISKCON temple.
All glories to...
Whatever I am is the grace of my Guru.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my query is that we know the answer, we know the question that the final examination is death, and we should remember Krishna at the time of death. But we fail again and again and again. And Prabhupada used to tell, finish all your business in this lifetime, go back to home, go back to Godhead. So where we fail, Prabhuji, every time?
Why we fail? Because we're conditioned souls. And we're sadhakas. We're not perfect. This is, in essence, what a sahajiya is. Even though they're full of an artist, they're thinking I've become perfect. Sadhaka means that we practice. Practice means you fall. Krishna's recommendation, abhyasa yoga yuktena chaitasa ananyagamena paramam purusham divyam yati parthanuchintayan. Abhyasa means practice. Chaitasa na anyagamena, not to allow your mind to go to any other thing but Krishna. This is such an easy thing. We do this every morning, no? You pick up your japa mala and you think, okay, now I'm going to fix my mind on Krishna. And maybe 2 or 3 rounds, oh, my mind's gone somewhere else. Why? Chanchalam he manat Krishna pramati balavadvidham tasyaham nigraham manyai vayar eva sudushkaram. Mind is obstinate, powerful, difficult to control. More difficult to control than the wind. So we practice. And every day we pick up our mala, we do this. What is the practice? Yato yato nischalati manas chanchalamasstiram tatastato nayam yaitad atmaneva vasham nayat. To whatever and wherever your mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, bring it back under control of the self. And this is our mental exercise every day. To bring our mind, to drag our mind back to Krishna. To Krishna's form, beautiful form. His beauty, His mercy, His temple, His devotees, His prasadam, His book, His kirtan, His murti. There's many things about Krishna that we can think about. But our mind, due to its flickering and unsteady nature, and due to conditioning also, because we have the same mind life after life. Only at liberation do we get done with rascal mind. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, in the morning, first thing, beat your mind with 100 times with shoes. And evening before you go to sleep, beat your mind with a stick 100 times. Our whole problem in spiritual life is our mind. So we have to practice controlling the mind. And practice means sometimes we fail. Sometimes we become overcome with lust, overcome with greed, with envy. Why is that devotee like? Why not me? Or we become overcome with lust, anger. Trividam narakasyatam dwaram nasanam atmana. Nasanam atmana. It destroys. Lust, anger, greed destroy us. Yet sometimes we embrace it like it's our best friend. We have to practice. We're sadhakas. So don't beat yourself up. Sometimes the guilt that comes with failure is more dangerous than the failure itself. Because a devotee, if he's failing in his devotional life, he may think, I can't do this, I give up. I'm useless, I'm hopeless, I give up. Because of guilt that comes from failure. But failure is also, they say, is the pinnacle of, is the doorway to success. You fail, but you get up. It's a beautiful shloka we recite in relationship, usually in deity worship. We say, Bhoma uskalita padanam bhumireva avalambanam tvayi yathā paradhanam tvameva sharanam prabho. This means that if you're walking on the earth and you trip and fall, what other shelter do you have but the earth? If you want to walk, you have to walk on the earth, even though you may trip and fall on the earth. So in the same way, devotee prays, my dear Lord, I make offenses to you. Aparadha sahasrani kriyanti harnisham dasoham iti mammatva shamaswa madhusudana. I make thousands of offenses to you day and night, but thinking of me as your devotee, please excuse me. Please pick me up. Please take me back to you. And we appeal to the merciful nature of the Lord to bless us in this way, to excuse our neophyte nature and continue to make progress in spiritual life. So it's a practice. The one-word answer to your question is abhyas. And we can expand on that unlimitedly, actually. Practice. When they say practice makes perfect. And perfection will be there. Why? Parama Karuna Pahudi Jana. Because we're worshipping most merciful Parama Karuna Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who overlooks our faults, who overlooks our shortcoming, and is simply dragging us back to the kingdom of God. Jai Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
That Mataji wants to know so many talkings about the Prabhupada.
Prabhupada Leela.
Yes, yes.
That's a big topic. That's a 3-hour class. Prabhupada Leela. Prabhupada sometimes exhibited omniscience. You understand omniscience? All-knowing. And on the other side, people say, why didn't Prabhupada know this was going on? Prabhupada could only know what Krishna wanted him to know. But sometimes he would know amazing things beyond the capacity of any human being to know. One of my god-sisters purchased a very expensive chadar for Srila Prabhupada at a Shok hotel. Very upper class, top class clothing store. So she wanted to get something very nice for Prabhupada. She purchased a very expensive chadar for Srila Prabhupada. And she took off the label, thinking so Prabhupada won't know I spent so much money. So she very carefully unstitched it and took it off. She brought it in and placed it on Prabhupada's table. Prabhupada looked at it and said, oh, a Shok hotel? Another time, one devotee was standing, my godsister was standing in line to accept initiation. And the system was, Prabhupada would chant on the beads, you come, what are the 4 rules? You say the 4 rules, your name is blah, blah, blah. So this devotee was standing there thinking, I want a name of Srimati Radharani. Only a name of Srimati Radharani. She didn't say anything. She's just feeling that in her heart. So she's standing in front of Srila Prabhupada. He said, your name is Radhakund. Radhakund Mataji ki jai. Same thing. One devotee was doing this. He was standing in line thinking, I want to be named Madan Mohan. Madan Mohan, such a beautiful name. If only Srila Prabhupada would name me Madan Mohan. So he came in front of Srila Prabhupada and said, what are the rules? He answered. Then he asked, is there any devotee named Madan Mohan? He said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. Okay, your name is Bharadraj. Another time, Hari Vilas Prabhu was preaching in France. And Srila Prabhupada was in London. So he came to see Srila Prabhupada before he left for his Prabhudatta Desh, or his preaching field. So he offered obeisances. He was leaving, and Prabhupada asked, so how are you traveling? He said, I'm taking the ferry from Boulogne to, no, from Dover to Boulogne. And Prabhupada said, no. He said, I mean, I don't mean to disagree with you, Prabhupada, but I have my ticket here. I'm traveling from Dover to Boulogne. I don't remember the name of the other city. Boulogne and Anyway, some other city in France. And Prabhupada said, no, you're not going. So, okay, you're my guru, I accept what you say. But when he gets there, that route was closed and he had to go to the other city. Closed, the route from Boulogne to Dover, closed. Prabhupada knew. So many times he exhibited omniscience because he was in direct contact with Super Soul. He was asked one time, he was being interviewed actually by a reporter. The reporter was asking him, do you see God? Prabhupada said, yes. Yes. So the reporter said, what is he doing? Prabhupada closed his eyes. He is sitting in my heart. And the devotee that was there with him, Rameshwar Prabhu, was like thinking, this is just too much. This is too much just to tell the press. You can see it now. Swami sees God, you know, in the headline. So he's trying to mellow things down. He says, well, it's like he sees, you know, he sees God everywhere. And Prabhupada said, no, I am seeing. Why? Premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. These saints are always seeing Krishna, Shyam Sundar. Where? Hridayeshu vilokayanti, in their heart. So Prabhupada was seeing Krishna. Directly seeing Krishna. Speaking with Krishna. This is another wonderful story. Srila Prabhupada was coming to Los Angeles temple. And our godbrother Mayapur Prabhu was making calculation. There's a sidewalk right in front of the temple. And just a few steps to the front door. So he made calculation. Prabhupada's car is going to come and park right here, next to the sidewalk. All stand on the sidewalk, open the door for Prabhupada, and garland him. But they said, Prabhu, Mayapur Prabhu, there's service to do. You can't do this. Please do your service. So Prabhupada came, and everyone poured into the temple, and the crowd pushed him right up next to Prabhupada. He found himself standing right next to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada standing in front of Rukmini Dwarkadish, and he's talking to Rukmini Dwarkadish. And he's asking Rukmini Dwarkadish, Amiya was right like 6 inches from Prabhupada's ear. And Prabhupada saying, my dear Lord, are they giving you a nice outfit like this every day? Then silence. Because Prabhupada's hearing the answer, Mayapur Prabhu was not hearing the answer. Are they giving you a nice outfit like this every day? Silence. Are they offering you nice food, nice bhoga every day? Silence. Prabhupada's having conversation with Dwarkadish. In fact, our whole Indian yatra started with Dwarkadish's instruction to Srila Prabhupada that you go to India and preach. Prabhupada argued because this is Raga Marg. It's not like, okay, whatever you say. Prabhupada said, no. This Los Angeles, it's our world headquarters. We're making devotees. So many devotees are coming. We're distributing books. We're influential here in Los Angeles. Dwarkadish said, no, you go to India. I'll give you a temple 100 times better than your Los Angeles ISKCON. What is that? Krishna Balaram Mandir ki jai. Krishna Balaram ki jai, Shri Shri Radhe Shyam ki jai. So whole Indian yatra began from this. In Vrindavan Mandir, Krishna Balaram Mandir, Radha Ras Bihari Mandir, and Sridham Mayapur. Krishna told Prabhupada, now you go. Prabhupada was in direct connection with Lord Krishna. Premanjana, because his eyes are anointed with love of God. That is also available to us if we follow Srila Prabhupada. Simply follow his instructions, do what he did, be sold out servant of your guru, follow your guru's instructions. The same benefit is available to us. Premanjana charita. Your eyes in due course of time will be anointed with love and Krishna will manifest in your heart. This is the power of Krishna Bhakti. So His Holiness Chandramali Maharaj is here. So please Maharaj, please come. I'm just keeping the seat warm for you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
His Grace Sarvadik Prabhu ki. So we thank by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Prabhu. So we have His Holiness Chandramouli Swami Maharaj. Today's last Sravan Utsav is ending with Maharaj. Maharaj is a little late, but he came running from that MI. So don't move, sit. So we welcome Maharaj by Huludwani and Haridwani. Louder. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Maharaj will speak on glories of Chaitanya Charitamrita in short, and he'll end up with Kirtan, nice Kirtan.
Kirtan first or the last? Huh? In the beginning we'll do Kirtan or? Yeah, whatever. It's up to you.
Mridanga player kayo ache? Mridanga player?
Hare Krishna.
No, you can come.
We have kartos. You have kartos?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to begin with one bhajan, and it's we all know the bhajan. It's quite sung quite often in our society. It's called Nama Kirtana, and we also know it is Yasomati Nandana. We have a mridanga player?
Yeah.
Okay. Yasomati Nandana Brajabaranhagara Gokula Njana Yasomati Nandana Yasomati Nandana Brajabaranhagara Gokula Njana Gopi Paranandanam Mahan Manohara Kaudiyanamanavidhana Harinam Hamiya Vilasa Hamala Harinam Hamiya Vilasa Vipena Purandara Navinana Garabhara Vamsi Vadana Subhasa Rajadana Prana Sudakula Nasana Prajadana Falana Surakulana Sana Nanda Godana Rakoha Hey Nanda Godana Rakoha Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Sundarananda Gopala Hey Sundarananda Gopala Jamuna Tatachara Gopi Vasanoharam Jamuna Tatachara Gopi Vasanoharam Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya Oh, Sri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Nattavara Sri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Nattavara Sri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Nattavara Bhakti Vinoda Sraya Srila Bhakti Vinoda Sraya Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Yasomati Nandana Brajabharanagara Gokula Ranjana Kahana. Kana Krishna. Omagyan Timirandasya Girajana Salakaya Chaksu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pastyatya De Satarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So I was asked to speak on Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I'll speak a little bit about what is Chaitanya Charitamrita. Of course, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati makes a nice comment, which is quite unknown. That he says that those who read Chaitanya Charitamrita before they read Srimad Bhagavatam can understand Srimad Bhagavatam. We sometimes hear that we should approach Bhagavatam prior, but then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati qualifies that by saying that the life of Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya is actually the living Bhagavatam. And you can see in the very beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada gives a synopsis of the life of Lord Chaitanya as a prelude to introducing Srimad Bhagavatam. So that sort of confirms that principle that actually Lord Chaitanya is living Bhagavatam. So when we approach Lord Chaitanya, we can actually understand, we have a greater understanding, we're more equipped to understanding the pastimes of Radha and Krishna and Sri Vrindavan Dham, which is the essence of the 10th canto. Chaitanya Charitamrita, we all know the author is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who penned this work at the age of 95. He began the work, he was requested, having the notes of Sarup Damodar Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami, who very carefully took notes of the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu while they were both engaged in serving Lord Chaitanya. Based on those notes, he expanded them and added many of the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. And sometimes people ask the question, why did Srila Prabhupada choose Chaitanya Charitamrita over Chaitanya Bhagavat? When Chaitanya Bhagavat is considered to be the foremost philosophical teachings of the life of Lord Chaitanya. Of course, in Chaitanya Bhagavat you have a lot of about Lord Nityananda that's not mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, because Vrindavan Das Thakur is actually a disciple of Lord Nityananda. But one of the reasons, there's a couple reasons. One is that in order to support the Leela, there's a lot of tattva in Chaitanya Charitamrita. That is the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam. There are hundreds of verses that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami includes in the narration of Lord Chaitanya's Leelas to support the tattva, the principle of what Lord Chaitanya is teaching through his activities. And of course, another reason, sometimes we might even say this is the main reason, is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj had already done commentaries on Chaitanya Bhagavat. So it's kind of the etiquette not to try to surpass one's spiritual master by trying to by writing something based on of course you can take what they say and give some further understanding. But Prabhupada didn't want to touch Chaitanya Bhagavat because his spiritual master wrote extensive purports on many of the verses in Chaitanya Bhagavat. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is quite amazing when you see how it's laid out. The very beginning chapters, the first 12 chapters, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami establishes the position of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The first chapter is all about the tattva of Guru tattva, and then you hear about verses glorifying Lord Nityananda, Advaita, and then chapters on Lord Nityananda, chapters on Advaita Acharya, and then, of course, the 7th chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's interesting because when we were first, beginning our Hare Krishna movement, I can't say I was there from the beginning, but I joined in 1972, 73, around that time. And all we had was that the teachings of Lord Chaitanya at the time. And we also had, Srila Prabhupada had given us what is called the 5 features of Lord Chaitanya, which was the 7th chapter of Adi Leela. The Prabhupada gave us the 7th chapter of Adi Leela before he gave any of the other chapters, which that chapter is simply about Sri Harinam Sankirtan, the glories of Sri Harinam Sankirtan, the glories of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That chapter is saturated with explanations and verses on the glories of chanting the holy name and supported by a lot of philosophical statements from various scriptures. The Prabhupada gave us that first. And after reading that for a little while, then gradually the Adi Leela started to manifest. For the first 12 chapters, Krishnadas Kaviraj very clearly establishes who is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then, of course, after chapter 13 through chapter 17, which is the completion of Adi Leela, he talks about Lord Chaitanya's childhood pastimes and his pastimes just prior for him before he actually took initiation from Ishwarapuri. In the Madhya Leela, which is the longest section of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's 25 chapters. Hare Krishna, Hare. In the so sweet. Thank you. In those 25 chapters, Lord Chaitanya begins his travel. He takes sannyas, stays at the house of Advaita Acharya, and then he travels through South India and preaches to various groups and meets different people. He preaches to the Buddhists, he preaches to the Shankarites, he preaches to the Muslims, and he travels and he establishes his movement. In that section also is the Rath Yatra ceremony, and of course the prior of the Rath Yatra ceremony, cleaning of the Gundicha temple. And then it ends up with more of the esoteric pastimes of Krishna as he approaches the Antya Leela. And the Antya Leela is quite confusing for most scholars, because scholars also try to understand Lord Chaitanya's philosophy by reading these books, but it's like licking the bottle of honey on the outside. Because they're not engaged in devotional service, they can only give some philosophical understanding, which always falls short, because the philosophical understanding has to be understood by those who actually are practicing the devotional principles. If you're not practicing devotional service, you can't understand simply by reading about Lord Chaitanya. And so, in those last 20 chapters, the Lord goes into his ecstasies of love of God in the Gambhira, in Jagannath Puri, many of his pastimes with his devotees, with Sanatana Goswami, with Jagannatha Pandit. and his deeper expressions of ecstatic love of God are described in them. And of course, the last chapter in the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita is the Shikshastikam prayers, which were, they say, which is partially true, that this is the only thing that Lord Chaitanya ever wrote. But in his early life, when he was a scholar, he wrote a book on Nayak and grammar. And that book was actually quite famous, but someone else had written another book on the same topic. It was another personality, another sage. And when he heard that Nimai Pandit, who was, Lord Chaitanya in his early years, had written the same topic, he was very unhappy. And he went to Nimai Pandit and said, you wrote your book on grammar and Nayak, and I wrote the same thing, but because you are so popular, no one will read my book. He was feeling unhappy. So the Lord said, all right, if that's the case. So he took his book and threw it in the Ganga. So we have no record of that book, but that was also written by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his early years. And of course, the Shikshastikam prayers are, as we heard from Sarvadrik, I didn't hear his presentation, but we know this is the essence of pure devotional service in these 8 verses. Srila Prabhupada would say that the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan wrote all of their books based on those 8 verses. So you can unpack those verses unlimitedly because they're so deep. And the whole process of devotional service, Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana, Sadhana Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, Prema Bhakti, and the gradual progression of the 9 stages of Bhakti leading all the way up to Prema Bhakti. So if you can study those prayers of Shikshastikam, you can understand practically the whole process of devotional service in a nutshell. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is it's deep in the philosophical and spiritual principles and centered around the activities of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In his travels in South India, the Lord was going from place to place, and everywhere he was going, he actually established the Sankirtan movement simply by his travels. And that was even understood even later by commentators who had said that actually the entire subcontinent of India at the time was made Krishna conscious by Lord Chaitanya's preaching. He traveled all the way down from Jagannath Puri, all the way down the eastern side of India to Cape Cormorant, and he came back up on the western side when he got to the area which we know today as Bombay. It was a different name at the time. It was called Vaipiano. That's the old name of Bombay, Vaipian. He crossed over and then head back towards Jagannath Puri. That took him 6 years. But in that travels, he met so many persons, preached so many, preached to the message, but he mostly spread the Sankirtan movement. And therefore, when Prabhupada was here, the devotees, Prabhupada had said that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He took the entire process of pure devotional service, illustrating the importance of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra Sankirtan. And he made practically the entire country of India Krishna conscious. So, and then the devotees would ask Srila Prabhupada, "Oh, Prabhupada, if he was here and he made India practical, why didn't he just take it around the world?" Prabhupada said, "He left it for me to do." Prabhupada's humble statement. And that's also how Krishna works. Krishna can make the whole world God conscious overnight if he wants to. But that's not the way he does things. He does it through his devotees. So he empowers his devotees who are surrendered to him to take his message. And therefore, they get the credit, and they also get the opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead. So the Lord can do anything and everything. It's nothing, and there's nothing outside of his power, but he leaves it for the devotees to do, so he can glorify his devotees, and the devotee gets all the credit, and therefore Krishna is happy, and Krishna is glorified. So when Lord Chaitanya was traveling, he traveled through one place called Kurmakshetra. And while he was in Kurmakshetra, one particular Brahmana, he was also known as the Kurma Brahma. And he was a very Paka Brahma. He lived with his family. And he had purposely arranged to meet Lord Chaitanya, and he invited Lord Chaitanya to come to his house and stay while he was there in Kurmakshetra. So the Lord agreed, because he could see here was a very ideal Brahmin. So he came to his house, and for 4 days the Lord stayed there. And they served him very nicely, taking care of all of his meals, his personal needs. And the Lord gave it his association, his preaching to them, enlightening them down about the principles of Krishna consciousness. After 4 days, the Lord had to go on to his mission, so he was planning his leaving. As he was leaving, he immediately, of course, took to the road and started to walk. The Lord was walking. And then, the Kurma Brahma, he started to follow Lord Chaitanya. And then the Lord was walking, he was following. And the Lord looked back and said, and he approached him, he said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going with you. I cannot bear to be separated from you. I want to be with you always." "What about your family?" "Well, I want to go with you." So he didn't even respond to that. Lord Chaitanya was not happy. Of course, he was inspired by his devotion, but at the same time he told him, you stay with your family, and whoever you meet, you preach the glories of devotion to Lord Krishna. Whoever you meet, you teach them to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then he said, by my command, be Guru, save the land. And he said, if you do that, you will never leave my association. And so the Lord gave a very important instruction in that particular interchange where he was explaining that one who is serving the Lord by preaching the glories of the Lord is intimately united with the Lord in devotion. Because spiritual life is less about physical proximity than more about following the principles that are given to us by our spiritual master and by the previous acharyas, especially that principle of being an instrument for the mercy of the Lord. And that was Srila Prabhupada's instructions. He said, I want each and every one of my disciples to become preachers and spread Krishna consciousness everywhere. And so that was the instruction to this Kurma Brahma. So he left and went back home, and Lord Chaitanya taught that principle. Grihe tako, bone tako, sabda haribole dako. Doesn't matter whether you're grihasta, sannyasi, whatever your ashram is, just stay there, perfect the activities according to the rules and regulations of the ashram, and become fully Krishna conscious. And then whoever you meet, as Prabhupada would write, and he writes in Srimad Bhagavatam, it's the duty of the householders to gather together with family members and friends and have a program and invite one sannyasi guru or one traveling preacher and have a program and discuss the principles of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and distribute Krishna Prasadam. He said if you simply do that, then your house will become like a mandir. And then it's no longer just a place of living, but it's a place of worship. Sometimes we say that when we preach in the Western countries, we go to different places and we say, well, how many families are in this congregation? And they'll give a number. Sometimes they say maybe it's about 50 or 60. We say, all right, and each one of you one night a month, do a program. And that way, every month, every day of the month for the entire year, you have 365 programs every night. Just one grihastha couple with their family can sponsor a program once a month or arrange for prasadam. And it's always open. Devotees can come at any time, and then you have Krishna consciousness going on. Of course, in India, it's different. Krishna consciousness is always going on. But in the Western countries, it gets kind of dry sometimes, so we need to inspire devotees to come together more for kirtan, for sangha, just for association, and satam prasangam mamavirya sambido bhavanti hitkarna rasayana gata, to hear and chant the glories of the Lord, which gives us nectar, happiness, and elevates the consciousness, and brings one ultimately to the platform of the pure devotional service. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also passing in that area of Kurmakshetra, there was one particular leper. His name was Vasudeva. And because his leprosy was so severe, he was living by himself. He could not be with anyone else. He had such a severe case of leprosy. His whole body was full of sores. But Vasudeva was very humble by nature, and he was a devotee. And so sometimes one of the worms in his body, there were different worms living there. The worms would fall out and go onto the ground. Vasudeva, out of his natural humility, would pick up that worm and put it back in where it fell from. And he would think, oh, God has given this worm my body as a place of livelihood, so therefore it belongs here. That was his humility. Now he also heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was coming through Kurmakshetra. He knew he couldn't associate with the Lord because of his condition, but he just wanted to see the Lord from a distance. But Mahaprabhu had passed through without the opportunity of Vasudeva. And so when Vasudeva learned that Lord Chaitanya had already passed through, he was feeling so wretched, so unhappy. He said, just see my situation. I'm so wretched, so foolish. I didn't even get the chance to see the Lord. That's all I wanted to do. When the Lord understood the mind of Vasudeva, the Lord turned around, came back to the Kurmakshetra, went right to the place where Vasudeva was staying. When he saw Vasudeva, the Lord immediately ran up to Vasudeva and embraced him. Now Vasudeva was taken by a surprise. The Lord just came in. Lord Chaitanya is big. He's like 2 meters high. And he locked him in an embrace. And when he embraced him, his whole body became completely healed. His body was now healthy and normal. And all of his leprosy was gone. But when Lord Chaitanya was looking at him, he was seeing, Vasudeva, you don't look at all happy. Why aren't you happy? He said, my dear Lord, yes, I am not happy. Now you would think, wow, getting embraced by the Lord, all of his disease would gone. It would be, and not only happiness, but he would be completely joyful. But he wasn't happy. And then the Lord inquired, and he said, my dear Lord, because you have shown me your special mercy, people will now understand, and they will praise me. They will say so many things about me, and then I will become proud. And that is worse than death. This was his mentality. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he responded by saying, Vasudeva, if you do one thing, you will never become proud. And the Lord Chaitanya gave this principle for all of us. What is that statement? He said, if you incessantly, that means continuously, chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you incessantly chant the holy names of the Lord 24 hours a day, he said, you will never become proud. So here's the formula for destroying any possibility of becoming proud and destroying pride if it's there. Just simply chant the holy name of the Lord continuously. And then one is in association with Krishna through his transcendental name. There was one particular devotee, kind of a devotee, but he was more like a scholar devotee. His name was Devananda Pandit. Devananda Pandit, he was quite elderly to Lord Chaitanya, and actually he appeared before Lord Chaitanya. And during that time, he would give discourses and speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. In fact, he could narrate the whole Bhagavatam and also give commentaries on many of the verses. But his commentaries were more or less in the mood of jnana and karma and not in bhakti. But he had such a beautiful expression of how he would chant the verses that he had attracted a following. And see, he had quite a large following. He became popular as a reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So one day, this is prior to Lord Chaitanya's appearance, Srivas Thakur, who also appeared before Lord Chaitanya, he came to one of the narrations of Bhagavatam by Devananda Pandit. And he was sitting there listening along with many of his followers. And Devananda Pandit had he had what they call it, the power of Shakti. He could speak so sweetly and so devotionally, but at the same time, he wasn't a devotee. He knew how to speak in such a way. He didn't know the essence of Bhagavatam. He knew the external manifestations of the words only. And so when Srivas Thakur was listening, he was actually starting to feel really happy, and he started to exhibit certain ecstatic symptoms just listening to Devananda Pandit. That's possible even from persons who are expert at speaking. But it's external. It's not really, it doesn't satisfy the heart ultimately, and it doesn't bring one to surrender in devotional service. So Srivas was listening, and he was going into ecstasy, and he was expressing emotions that were somewhat disturbing to the general body of people who were listening to Devananda Pandit. And so some of the followers of Devananda Pandit picked up Srivas Thakur while he was in his ecstasy and just carried him outside, put him on the ground, and left him and went back in. Devananda Pandit didn't say anything about what they had done. And then Srivas, after some time, realized what happened. He picked himself up, went back to his place, feeling very, very sad. He started to read Srimad Bhagavatam. At that time, later on, Lord Chaitanya explained that pastime to him and said, do you remember when the followers of Devananda Pandit took you out and put you on the ground? You were feeling very sad. You went to your room and you started to read Srimad Bhagavatam, and you were reading and reading and reading. At that time, I entered into your heart just to give you happiness and peace of mind. And then, of course, Srivas remembered that. So Devananda Pandit had committed an offense to Srivas Thakur. And one day when Lord Chaitanya was walking, Devananda Pandit was walking in the opposite direction. They were coming towards each other. Lord Chaitanya stopped right in front of Devananda Pandit and said, Devananda Pandit, you don't know anything about Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he said it in a very angry mood, and then he just walked away. But somehow or other, Devananda Pandit redeemed himself, because when Lord Chaitanya was engaged in Sankirtan in Jagannath Puri during the Rath Yatra festival, the Lord was dancing in ecstasy, and crowds were somehow gathering around the Lord. And the crowds were coming in too close, and the Lord was having a difficult time in his dance. So Devananda Pandit was there. He was an elderly person. He had his cane, and he was pushing... No, actually, I'm sorry. It wasn't Lord Chaitanya. It was Vakreshwara Pandit. That's right. Excuse me. Vakreshwara Pandit was dancing in ecstasy, and the devotees were coming around Vakreshwara Pandit, and they were getting really close. It was hard for him to actually continue his dance. So Devananda Pandit, with his stick, very carefully and very devotionally pushed everyone back so Vakreshwara Pandit could dance. When Lord Chaitanya heard that, he was very happy. And in one sense, he forgave him for all of his offenses to Srivas Thakur. And then, of course, the Lord actually praised him for his services. So here's an example. When you serve a devotee, and when you serve the devotee nicely according to the situation, that pleases the Lord. And then when one pleases the Lord, then taktva deham purna janma. In other words, one becomes fixed in devotional service simply by pleasing the Lord. But those who offend the devotees, then the opposite happens. They can no longer practice devotional service or even find happiness in association with devotees. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made that point it's stated in Antya Lila, that one who criticizes my devotee and still chants the holy name of the Lord, even though they chant the holy name of the Lord, but they criticize the devotees, that holy name destroys them. And it becomes like poison to the person. And those who serve the Lord and chant the holy name, then they are actually drinking nectar. So the same holy name, which is Krishna himself in sound vibration, destroys those persons who actually offend devotees through the process of criticizing devotees. And those who serve the devotees and please the devotees, they make progress on the path of devotional service, and they become happy. They become happy. How are we doing on time? Huh? 10 minutes left? Yeah. Sorry if I was late. I somehow or other miscalculated the time I was supposed to be here. So we only have 10 minutes left, and if anyone would like to ask any questions or make a comment about anything, yes, in the first row here.
Критикуют, да, то есть тот, кто критикует, а вот тот, кто оскорбляет Шрилу Прабхупаду, искажая его учение, и кто другой критикует это, то есть является ли это критикой?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, you mentioned about the criticism, and there are some people who criticizes Srila Prabhupada or openly offend him. And if we criticize them, are we criticizing, or is that standing up for him? If they criticize him by making his words, tainting his words.
Well, it depends how you do that. In other words, to criticize the criticizer is another form of criticism. But you should correct that person by explaining in a very clear and respectful way that whatever you're saying is... because you have to know what they're saying and what they're finding fault in, and show that actually they are wrong. Because Srila Prabhupada, even if apparently looks like he made some mistake, it's only apparent. It's only apparent. Sometimes Prabhupada would be giving a lecture, and then he would forget a verse, or he would chant the verse differently than the actual verse. And people would think, oh, wow, he forgot the verse. If you find fault with that, it's like trying to find fault with the moon because it has a little spot on it. It's giving great light, it's giving great benedictions to the whole world, but at the same time, if you look at the little pockmark in the moon and you describe it like that, so that criticism is offensive, obviously. And if it's directed, of course, towards Srila Prabhupada, that is Guru Avagya, that is finding fault not only with the spiritual master, but with the founder Acharya of the entire Hare Krishna movement, who spread Krishna consciousness worldwide. I can't hear you.
I'm trying to translate here, Maharaj. Please, 100 words per hour doesn't help the translation, please.
Oh, okay. I'll reduce to 99. I'm sorry.
Okay, please. 96 would be good. Thank you.
All right. I didn't realize that I was supposed to stop.
Don't stop.
Did you translate? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'll go a little slower. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says one thing. He says, if you want to receive my full mercy, he doesn't say it like that. He says, I give my full mercy to a devotee who does two things. Who develops a taste for chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and who becomes a dosha darshi. Dosha means faults, and adosha means no faults. Darshi means to see. One who does not see the faults of others. One who does not see the faults of others and develops a taste for chanting the holy name, Mahaprabhu's mercy comes like ocean waves upon that personality. So even if you see faults in someone, look for the good qualities. Sometimes you can't help seeing a fault. But if you're finding faults with Srila Prabhupada, you really have a problem. You really have a problem. That means you don't know anything about Krishna consciousness. So the devotee should carefully try to correct that person by explaining that what you're saying is wrong, and here's the right understanding. You should be able to explain what he says or what she says is actually incorrect. And it is.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, my query is that Devananda Pandit supposed to seek forgiveness from Srivas. But did he seek forgiveness from Srivas?
It doesn't mention that anywhere. It's just that Lord Chaitanya was so pleased that he served Vakrishvara Pandit so nicely that the Lord was happy with him and gave him his mercy.
Okay, Maharaj.
Yeah, but that is actually the etiquette or the protocol that one should follow. But in this case, I think Lord Chaitanya just... Devananda Pandit's offense to Srivas Thakur was an offense of inaction. He failed to stop his disciples from removing Srivas Thakur. He didn't do anything directly to Srivas, but it was offense of inaction, when he should have said something, but he didn't. So it was a slight offense.
And Maharaj, my second query is that, like Chota Haridas, I believe he was in Brahmacharya ashram. He was a brahmachari. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not forgive him, and afterwards he committed suicide also. So can you explain that?
Lord Chaitanya did forgive him because that's mentioned that actually Lord Chaitanya wanted to use Chota Haridas as an example for everyone from time immemorial, that one in the renounced order of life should not intimately associate with women. So he was begging rice from Madhavi Devi. And we don't know the details of that interaction, but Lord Chaitanya saw it as transgressing proper etiquette for a sannyasi. So when he committed suicide, he remained in his ethereal body, and he was always singing the glories of Krishna to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya had a relationship with him on that level. So that was sweet. But it's mentioned there were 7 reasons why the Lord actually acted in that particular way. He was like hard as a thunderbolt. And the devotees were also begging the Lord to forgive him, but the Lord didn't want to hear anything in that case. He wanted to teach that example. So many times he would use his devotees to teach a particular principle that he wanted to establish as his teachings.
So Maharaj, Chota Haridas was in sannyas order at that time?
It says, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was
okay.
a
Thank you.
sannyas,
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah. Wasn't a brahmachari. Anyone else? Any other questions?
Maharaj, but Chota Haridas met a old lady, not young lady. And
Madhavi Devi, she was elderly. She was the sister of Sikhi Mahiti. But Madhavi Devi was an intimate associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It doesn't talk about their because it says Lord Chaitanya had 3.5 intimate associates. Ramananda Roy, Sarup Damodar, Sikhi Mahiti, and Madhavi Devi, which was the sister of Sikhi Mahiti. So she was a very elevated personality. But that doesn't mean that because she was elderly, his mind wasn't disturbed. It was. Lord Chaitanya could understand that. That when he was doing that, his mind became disturbed. All he was doing was begging rice, but we don't know. It doesn't explain the details of that interaction. But she was a great personality. She was considered to be one of the intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya. But there's no record that we have of Lord Chaitanya discussing intimate pastimes with her. But it mentions that that was her position, actually. It's interesting. But yeah, the desire to enjoy in the opposite sex doesn't leave, even at the elderly age. That's still there. Yeah, that can be still there. So somehow or other, Lord Chaitanya used that example in a very extreme way. He wanted to make that point. He wanted to teach that principle from time immemorial. That vantasi means one who eats and then vomits and then eats their own vomit. He referred that as this, and Prabhupada talks about that too on a morning walk. Prabhupada was talking about how if a sannyasi, somehow or other breaks their sannyasa and has an intimate relations with the opposite sex, then it's better to commit suicide. Better to give up your life than to continue into this false idea that I'm renounced. When Prabhupada was talking about that, of course this is something that you'll find out later in Vyasaki's 3rd volume of his Radha Damodar Vilas. He describes that in that discussion with Vishnu Jan Swami was there. And Vishnu Jan Swami heard Srila Prabhupada speaking like that. And he became very, very concerned. So he drifted away from the devotees during that morning walk, and no one ever saw him again. It was understood that he gave up his life by coming to Rishikesh, the Ganga, and he drowned himself in the... This was given information by the people who were involved in it. But when Prabhupada was speaking during that time, Prabhupada went on later because one devotee asked a question, Prabhupada, if our sannyasis did that, we would have no sannyasis in our movement. So Prabhupada said, I am not Lord Chaitanya. So if you fall down, you get back up. If you have to, you can change ashrams, get involved in the grihastha ashram, be a nice grihastha, get back in good standing, execute devotional service and make progress. So Prabhupada wasn't endorsing that idea of suicide, although that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. That's Prabhupada said, you can hear it, I am not Lord Chaitanya. And then he explained that, if that happens, get back up. And again, apichet sudaracharo bhajate mamananya bhaka sarveva samantagya vavyafyasi sohisa. Even if one commits the most abominable activities, if they're engaged in devotional service, they are saintly. And anyone who sees that way also becomes saintly. Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes that point. So, to fall down, it's possible, but to get back up, that's first class. One may not be able to retain the same status as they had within the society, but still one can practice devotional service and again, make progress towards pure devotional service. So, yeah. So we shouldn't, it's not that if someone in that order breaks, they should commit suicide. That's not our program. No. Although that's what Lord Chaitanya established. But Prabhupada made it clear, that's not what I'm preaching. Is that all right? Any other questions?
Maharaj, regarding Devananda Pandit, as you have said that that he was speaking from the point of Gyan and Karma, not from the point of Bhakti. But then my question is, Srivas Pandit, he was such a great personality that he is one of the deity from Panchatattva. He is so exalted.
Yeah, he's an incarnation of Narada Muni.
Yeah, so then how he is, he was convinced so much.
I was hoping nobody asked that question. But anyway, since you asked, we will try to give a clarification. It was just the Shakti of Devananda Pandit, the way he could speak Bhagavatam. His conclusions were one thing, but the way he would express the verses in the Bhagavatam was so apparently very pleasing. He had the power to speak very, very pleasingly. And Prabhupada also warns us that, many people have that, but they also, sometimes, what is it called? Milk touched by the lips of a serpent becomes poisonous. So, yeah, even Mukunda was going to hear Yoga Vashishta from various persons who were exalting karma and jnana over bhakti. So, we have to be careful. Even the Mayavadis, they chant Hare Krishna or they chant mantras. They worship the deity also. So if we don't know what is their inner mood, why they do it, we might think, oh, they're nice devotees. But the whole goal, or their understanding of their worship, has a different goal than, devotion to Krishna. It's about liberation, or it's about, attaining the position of the Supreme. But Devananda Pandit, he was not, Lord Chaitanya even said to him, I'm going to take your Bhagavatam and I'm going to rip it up. Lord Chaitanya was so angry with him when he saw him after he had failed to say anything when Srivas Thakur was taken out. So, yeah, there are many people who can recite scriptures in a very pleasing and attractive way. Then you have to understand what is their goal, what is their motivation.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please ask my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, regarding you were saying Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramanandara and Sikhi Mahiti and Mahadevi Devi. These four are the 3.5 are the close associates of Lord Chaitanya.
So, intimate associates.
Intimate associates, yeah. So, can we see any pastimes related with Sikhi Mahiti?
I asked that same question, and there is some statements written somewhere, but it's not written in Chaitanya Charitamrita or in Chaitanya Bhagavat. But there is statements made that they discussed Radha and Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. That was told to me by one senior devotee. So that's the only reference I have. But you might be able to do some research and see where it is written. But it's mentioned somewhere. Unfortunately, I don't have that reference.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Harinam Shankirtan ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande.
Hari 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 Bol. His Holiness Chandramauli Swami Maharaj ki. So we thank Maharaj by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra for his wonderful class and Kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much for all of you attending this and making successful this Sravan Utsav 2023. Tomorrow evening, Adivas of Kirtan Mela. We can enjoy Kirtan Mela tomorrow onwards. And tomorrow morning, festival inauguration at Lotus Park, morning after Prabhupada Puja.